Hello, welcome here at the Tech Open Air Festival 2015. And I'm joined by Christian Hardenberg, the CTO of Rocket Internet. Welcome.
Welcome.
So what did you do just before arriving here?
I met people from India, from Singapore, and in our office here in Berlin, because we are actually currently rolling out a marketplace system around the world and discussed how to do that.
Yeah. And you also gave a talk here at the Tech Open Air Festival. What was that about?
That was about how to build internet companies in emerging markets.
Okay, so these two are basically like in the same line of thinking?
Exactly, yeah.
So your mind is currently trying to wrap around the problem how to roll out in all these different markets. So how do you approach that, such a big, huge, complex problem?
So Rocket is currently active in more than 100 countries around the world. We have around 30,000 people on the ground in all these countries, in places like Bangladesh, but also Nigeria, Indonesia, Colombia, all the way to Myanmar. And what I really like at Rocket is that whatever we do, we think internationally really from the start. And we do that by having people on the ground and asking them typically, what are your local problems? What is different in Indonesia to Germany? How do we solve that? And then we see what can we solve centrally here in Berlin, and what do we have to do locally, because it's just not possible from here.
Yeah. So the philosophy of Rocket Internet is to be the biggest internet platform outside of the US and China.
Yes.
The founder, of course, Oliver Zamwer, very famous, always said you have to embrace complexity. In this case, it must be truly that.
It's all about complexity and mastering it. In the morning, I talk to a guy in Singapore about his problems. In the midday in India, and in the afternoon it goes to Sao Paulo. And understanding this whole system, especially e-commerce, is a lot about complexity. How to run your warehouses, how to run customer service, how to understand what the customer needs, how to build great mobile apps. All that we need to master. And it actually is much harder in some of the places we are. If you look at Vietnam, where I was earlier this year, they don't have postal codes. There are simple things where you say, like, it's not so easy to find a place without portals. In our checkout, we have a field called landmark. So people enter there, I'm living close to this tower, or so we just, how to find them. Yeah. We don't have reliable postal systems. So actually a lot of packets get lost in the postal system. So we built our own delivery systems. And all this is about complexity and mastering it. But what I like about is once you master it, there's a reward for that, because if it's complex, not as many companies dare to go there. If you look at Amazon, they are only in 13 countries worldwide so far, because maybe it's just not so easy. And they started Mexico 2 weeks ago, so it took them 21 years to go from US to Mexico, and that's what we see as a huge opportunity. Yeah.
So we have to differentiate between you as CTO of Rocket Internet being like the master of all things technical for Rocket Internet. But of course, Rocket Internet is invested in lots of companies. How are you cooperating with the companies that you're investing in? Are you also actively advising them, for example?
Absolutely. So we have around 70 companies in our network, and we try to make the most, give the best service possible to them. So that has different forms. One is just being there. I visited by now almost all the companies, and from each one I learn something and I bring it to the other ones, and I try to really leverage this knowledge across the portfolio. We also do a conference like this one, actually in the same building, where we invite the whole Rocket Tech community to come to Berlin, and then we do talks to ourselves to help each other. We have a lot of ways to try to learn from each other, because for every problem out there, someone in the network has solved it already. Be it be good in A/B testing, or good at SEO, or good at logistics. There's a lot of knowledge.
And does it also change over time? Because in the first months of a company, I can imagine that it's more hands-on and on a daily basis, but maybe it also fades away, kind of the involvement over time?
Absolutely. So initially we start 100% owning a company. I compared sometimes with raising kids. In the beginning, it's in your belly. You are 100% nurturing this kid. It can't run on their own. But then, when they grow up, these companies, we want them to stand on their own feet. So we actively push them away from Rocket. Like a good parent would say, you need to move out of the house now. It's not a good sign if you're still in the house with 25. So these companies have to run on their own because we want to build independent companies run by independent founders. But as good parents, we don't leave them completely alone. So if there's a problem, they can always come back and we help and support them in all kinds of ways.
Yeah, but how do you avoid then that in the image is that it's only for the short term for Rocket, because software, of course, needs continuous development and care. And how do you make sure that this kid that goes out of the house knows how to earn its own money?
In the beginning, with our tech team at Rocket, we have almost 200 people in tech and product here in Rocket in the headquarters. We have all the functions we need, from mobile to backend to security to search, and we try to build, because we did that a lot of times, something very solid that is not just a prototype but can last a long way. If you look at the systems of Lazada, or was built by Rocket and still is the same system out there. But then we do a handover. Once there's a team in place, we invite the team to come to our office and work side by side with the Rocket team, and they sit in the same office and learn from each other. And then we step by step give them more responsibility till we feel now they're ready to run the servers on their own. And we help finding a great CTO for these companies, and once we found that, we'd really tell them, okay, now we feel you don't need us anymore. Run on your own feet.
Yeah. So you were previously at BCG, Boston Consultancy Group. Yeah. Why this change to Rocket?
So I started as a coder. I started coding with the age of 8. So I always have been programming in many different languages. My first job, 5 years, was just coding, C++, really hard stuff. But at some point I felt I can't just code only. I need to see this business world. So I went to consulting to see a bit, how the big guys do that, and was at telecom and banking. But pretty soon felt, not my world. I think I'm more about startups. So I helped start an own company here in Berlin also, called Metaversum. And once that didn't work out as good as I hoped, Rocket was a great place to do not just one startup, but help a lot of startups in a row. So I was involved now, I think, in 30 different company launches at Rocket. So that is, of course, a pretty unique. Yeah.
And do you also feel that this business experience also helped you to be a better CTO?
I think it's great to have done it yourself on tech. I'm always looking, when I'm hiring CTO, people who still have a good connection to tech, who still do a bit of coding at the side, who are not just managers. Because I think managing, everyone can learn, but coding is a pretty much of an art, and if you're not good at that, it's hard to learn that later. So that helps a lot. But then also, from consulting, being able to see the big picture is also not quite helpful.
And before you went to Rocket, did you do research on the technical level of the companies? Were you really involved in what the skill was, what also the level of ambition was?
Inside Rocket, you mean?
Yes.
Look, my last company was technically almost the hardest thing you could imagine. We built our own multiplayer world. We built 3D cities. We did our own economy system. It was technically like a dream come true. We solved so many interesting problems at once. But business-wise, it was not successful. So what I like about Rocket, maybe it's not the hardest technical challenge, but it makes a lot of sense from the business side, because in the end, that's more rewarding. If you see the company grow, if you see real users using it, if you see the TV spots, and I think in the end, every programmer's dream is someone using the stuff he built, and not just, what does it help to have a great code that's lying on a server, no one using it.
Yeah. So at Rocket Internet, they're famous for long working days, very ambitious. So after this interview, what are you going to do?
I'm going back to the office, I guess. No, it's not that bad. I think we are a bit like a factory. So once you do things in a serial way, you earn a lot of experience and reuse. So actually, every company we start, we build on a framework of systems that we have solved payment so many times. We have solved building a great app so many times. So many things you can reuse. I think by this high level of experience, we don't have to work as hard as a startup would. So I think I have kids, I get home to bring them to bed and so on.
Okay. Thank you so much, Christian, for this interview.
Yeah, welcome.